Nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. Well, happy Wednesday. I hope we're not throwing you off. We changed things up a little bit, but you know what? The point is that we are here. And I'm glad you're here. So if you are, then just say hello in the comments. I'd love to say hello to you. And yeah, that's how it all works out. Anyway, this week we're really concentrating and really looking at I'm looking at a couple of different supplements, but I really want to share with you especially about creatine, our native creatine, which this is what it looks like. It has leucine and carnitine in it, which also helps with energy production and helps with fat distribution from your cells, which is always a very good thing. But the thing that's getting a lot of press right now and a lot of, if you watch on social media, even do a search on social media about creatine, you're going to see a lot of really interesting stuff. We always think of creatine as help building muscle, especially, big gym dudes, right? We think that way. It helps with any muscle on any person, which is a very, very good thing. That's number one. Number two, if you exceed the 5 grams and go to 10 grams, then you're going to start with your brain. It is really amazing for your brain, cognitive health, memory. Yeah. So you walk into a room and actually remember what it is that you walked in there to get. That kind of thing. Anyway, that is, to me, that is super exciting. And I just wanted to put it out there that, listen, if you're not taking creatine, this would be a chance to do it. We have this at savingdinner.com/creatine with the leucine, with the carnitine. It is a special blend, and it is purposefully done like this so that it will hit and check all the boxes. I'm so impressed with this product. I take it every day, twice a day. It's easy. Throw it into your water bottle. That's it. Nothing special, nothing big deal to do. So that's your creatine. And I just wanted you to know about this because I think it's one of the most jaw-dropping things that has come out of nutrition research in the last few years. So check that out. That's at savingdinner.com/creatine. Easy to use. And you will see the result. You will feel the results. You will see the results. You'll have the energy benefits. It is incredible. I really am that stoked about it. Okay. Anyway, I had to tell you about it. Also, our Thanksgiving menus are here. Are you ready to get them? All you have to do is go to savingdinner.com/Thanksgiving, and that's where you get your menus. And I love our menus, obviously. This has been a tradition for over 24 years now. 24 years we've been doing these menus. And it's menus, recipes, shopping list. It's the troubleshooting guide. It's the Thanksgiving 101. It is all the things. And this is what started and gave birth to the book, Saving Dinner for the Holidays, way back when. And I think that was like 2005, 20 years ago. But the point is that this guide will help you so that you can timeline your way through Thanksgiving without burning the rolls and without forgetting something or missing something or being able to fix your lumpy gravy, for example. Everything's there. You can find it. It is free, savingdinner.com/Thanksgiving. Okay. Share that with a friend too, because we started all this stuff way back in the day. A lot of people have followed suit. That's fine. Flattery gets you everywhere, doesn't it? Flattery is the most sincere form of whatever. But the whole point is that Thanksgiving menu is a lifesaver for many, many, many people. And it's there for you, for your viewing pleasure. Also, you can get the pre-sale on If I were 50, this is exactly what I would do differently. If I were 50 again, this is exactly what I would do differently. It is my new book, and I will be announcing something really exciting about it next week. But go ahead, go get in on a pre-sale. If you go to savingdinner.com/50, that's the number 550 again. That's where you're going to find the book. Okay? Get it. Yep. We have a virtual book signing party and what have you. All kinds of fun stuff coming up. So I'm excited about that. Quote of the week, my friends. Quote of the week. It is passion is energy. Feel the power from what excites you. Now, it seems kind of basic, but you know what? The reason I really like this quote is because how often is it that we sit there and understand that our passion has that much energy? It's the thing that can drive things when we understand that the energy is what it's all about. That's all. That's all I have to say about that. So today we're going to be talking about emotions. This is part of, this is the part where I am in actually writing the book. I'm talking about emotional intelligence in the book. Hello there, Sue. Look at you. You've got the LA Cross King. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Sue's here. I'm glad to have you, Sue. Anyway, I want to talk about emotions because they're such tricky things. And emotions basically set the table for emotional intelligence. It's the chapter that I've been spending a lot of time on, shall we say, in the book, because I think it's such a big needle mover. And there's so many things about emotions we just plain don't understand, that if we knew, we can change the trajectory of what it is that we're doing in our lives and change some of the ways that we react to them, change some of the things that we're thinking about them, and change the truth about them. Because oftentimes people believe something just because they feel something, and that's not necessarily true. We'll talk about it. But the thing is, when it comes to change, most people anyway, think that the way that you get the change is through being motivated, extremely motivated. Well, if I were motivated, I could blah, blah, blah. That's the thing that we think that in order to seek the change that we want in our lives, that we need to be motivated to get it. It's a terrible long-term business strategy. It is. If you were motivated if you cleaned your house only when you felt motivated, I would not want to use your bathroom. Okay. I'm just saying there's no such thing as motivation 24/7. There's no such thing as having motivation create the kind of life that you want. Motivation shows up late, leaves early, and only wants to hang out when the conditions are just right. Motivation's kind of a persnickety thing. However, your emotions are completely different. They're the ones that pull the lever of change. As a matter of fact, your body, your brain responds to emotions way more than it does any other kind of directive. Did you know that? It's true. And so, as messy and as inconvenient as those emotions might be, that is how full volume emotions work. And this is what it does here to make you change your mind, to make you become the woman that you want to become, or prevent you from it as well. Okay. So, motivation, though, is never going to transform you. Can we just all agree to that? Amen. Pinkies up. It's emotion that does the heavy lifting. That's what we know. And as a matter of fact, there's a scientific study that supports this from the University of Wisconsin. And they studied what drives long-term behavior change. And they found that emotions, especially the uncomfortable ones, the ones guilt, shame, regret, all of those, fear even, they act like biological highlighters. Okay, so think about when you highlight in a book. You get your highlighter and put it in there. Your eye is completely drawn to it. This is like in when we have emails, for example, we tag them. Like these are people who responded to this email, and so they're tagged, so we know how the response was. Okay, hi there, Martha. Get that? When we understand what the response is, then we are going to respond in a different way than if we didn't know what the response was. So that's what prompts this reflection. That's what prompts learning and ultimately change. Okay. Your brain says, hey, pay attention to this. And then so your brain looks at it and goes, oh, okay, so, what's up here? You see what I'm saying? That's what this does. So while we think that it's if we have a great to-do list or if we're scheduling in something and we even have a time block sheet so that we can do these things, then it's automatically going to happen. And it's just not true. It's going to be help. It's a tool. Don't get me wrong, but it's the emotion that's going to lead the pack. It's emotion. And this is the thing, that feeling, those cocktails of feelings. I'm talking about the frustration, the anger, the I'm ticked at myself. I'm so tired of this. I'm not going to do this anymore. And then you do it anyway. That's the thing that tells your brain, okay, let's get to work. Let's get a new neural pathway going here. She means it this time. It's not just another, oh, I'm gonna do this and then never gonna do it. Okay? That's the difference. Because here's the fact. Emotions are feedback. They're not facts. They're feedback. They're telling you what's going on. And just because something feels like it's true doesn't necessarily mean it's true. I'm going to repeat that because I think it's so important. Oftentimes we think that because we're feeling something that we think it's true. That's not necessarily true. For example, I'll give you an example. You have a torturous breakup. My life is over is the feeling, is the emotion. That's not true. It's how you feel at the time, but that's not a true, shall we say, testimony of what is. It's just a feeling. It's an emotional turmoil of the hurt and the pain and the frustration and the anger and all the other stuff that comes with it. So if you're feeling unworthy, that doesn't mean that you are. If you're feeling stuck, that doesn't mean that you can't move. You see what I'm saying? So when we understand that our emotions are essentially like our nervous system's push notifications, right? They're saying, hey, something's off. Go take a look over here. Because what this is, and this is the point, this is data for you to process. It is not a directive. Okay? That's huge. And it took me forever to get this. By the way, this is one of the things that I wish I'd known it when I was 50, but I didn't. And now I do. And now it's just been so freeing. So if we treat every emotion like fact, we are living at the mercy of all the garbage that's going on inside of us. We are. And at that point, life's not really fun. It's really hard, as a matter of fact. And we think things that simply aren't true. We're living in half truths, old memories, bad belief systems, all kinds of stuff. Because inside of us is just this big mix of stuff and junk and truths and half truths and all the rest of it. So we have to treat these emotions as feedback so we can respond rather than react. Okay. And that's the difference between the prefrontal cortex and your amygdala. The amygdala is the knee-jerk reaction, and the prefrontal cortex is the intelligence center for your entire life. And it's the thing that says, let's go through this. Let's process this for a minute. So your feedback says, maybe you feel jealous. Maybe that means you're ready for more. Whereas your fact, and I would say false fact finder, is saying you're a terrible person for feeling jealous. Do you see the difference there? So one opens the door to insight and the other slams it shut and says, do not enter. And there's no room for anything except feeling bad. And actually not only feeling this jealousy emotion, but also piling on top of it. And you did that yourself. So if we go then on this notion that there's no such thing as good emotions or bad emotions, there's just emotions that run the gamut, then we can understand that the thing that we're looking at is the reaction to the emotion. And that's the game changer right there. So anger isn't bad. Anger is a sign that a boundary's been crossed, right? And same with fear. It isn't weakness. It's your body saying, prepare for a little courage because something maybe big is coming your way, or you need to prepare for something good, bad, or indifferent. But you just need to be prepared. That's what courage does. It's a skill. And then sadness isn't failure either. It's how your body processes loss, for heaven's sakes. So we get into trouble when we start naming our emotions as negative. And I will tell you right now, that's something that I do. Negative, negative thinking, negative this, negative that. But if we are doing this, guess what happens? It's like telling our smoke alarm, stop being such a drama queen, when there's a fire going on. We don't want to do that. So we don't want to suppress it. Hi, Jocelyn, by the way. Hi. And Martha, too. We don't want to suppress it. We need to learn to decode it. And when we decode it, we're saying basically to the emotions, so what are you trying to show me here? What do I need to learn from this situation? And what do I need to do with this information? Do you see the huge difference there? Instead of reacting and cowering in a corner and saying, oh, I'm just so terrible and I'm so wrong and I'm jealous and therefore that means I'm a bad person and I'm horrible. Instead, it's saying, so wait a minute, I'm jealous. So what's this trying to tell me? And then what should I do with this information? How should I process this? It opens the door to solution, and the curiosity automatically opens the door to the creativity, which then again circles back, looks for the solution. Something so simple like that. So the science is telling us that this is something that we can hack, by the way. This is emotional intelligence, not denial, not indulgence, just emotional fluency. And it's hackable. It's hackable. So here's what you can do. You can manipulate your emotions for good, okay? And this is what psychologists call it. They call it cognitive reappraisal. I love this. In other words, write a new story. This is how you change your emotional state, by changing the story you tell yourself about what's happening. Okay? So your brain's basically a meaning-making machine, and when you change the meaning, you change the feeling, right? So for example, I'm nervous turns into I'm excited. I've shared this with you. This is a Harvard and Yale. They've shown that this reframe activates the same psychological pathways. And I know this for a fact because I have done this and won tournaments because I've taken I'm nervous to I'm excited. They are two emotions that are side by side, and it's real easy to switch them over. Real easy. And it's made a big, big difference for me. And I know it's made a big difference for a lot of people. So keep that one in mind. It's just switching things ever so slightly. Instead of saying I'm angry, you're going to say I'm passionate about this. And that small little shift in language changes your brain's prediction of what comes next. It reroutes your stress hormones, and it helps to lower your reactivity, and it helps you to process and allow for what is next. Because oftentimes, and I've done this and I know this, oftentimes if you do just kind of give it a minute, a new thought will form or some idea will come along, and it's just amazing the synchronicity that happens in your life because of just this itsy bitsy switch. Isn't this cool? I love stuff like this. So what neuroscience calls this is the top-down emotional regulation, okay? So that means that your thinking brain, your prefrontal cortex, can literally override the feelings of your feeling brain, which is your amygdala, always excited. So this is why we use the tools of gratitude and visualization, journaling, affirmations, etc. That's not just woo-woo stuff, folks, not at all. It's a neurological intervention. And it helps you to reinforce what it is that you're trying to switch up and change up in your life. It's why the little 3x5 cards are so incredibly powerful. It's why writing in your journal is so powerful. It's why taking a gratitude walk changes your whole body's chemistry. This is how potent these things are. So yeah, you can essentially emotionally re-engineer yourself. Is that not the coolest thing? You can choose a soundtrack before walking into a hard conversation. You can decide what it's going to be about. Okay. Prime yourself with courage, with your posture, with your breath. And you can also recall a proud moment so that you can, shift your entire hormonal state. And I will say that this is the key because we practice those things that we want mastery over. And I don't know about you, but having emotional intelligence and being able to properly navigate my way through choppy waters of my own emotions, yeah, I'll take some of that. This is what I want. So understand though, we are not talking about toxic positivity here, not at all. We're talking about emotional agency. Okay. And I have a definition for you on what that is because I think, you're going, okay, emotional agency, basically, it's taking responsibility for yourself. Yes. But it's the belief that you have the ability to actively influence and manage your own emotional states and responses rather than be a passive victim to them. And that's huge. How often is it that we have taken a back seat to our emotions and let our emotions run the car? That's like handing the keys to, a 6-year-old who's having a tantrum. Why would we do that? Hand the keys of our car and say, go ahead and drive. First of all, they don't know how. And second of all, they're emotionally distraught. No, we don't do that. Even a teenager, even just the thought of this. And then if in practice, this is what's happening, we have to look at that. So, um, the ways that we get there, of course, is the noticing of all of this, the awareness of it, the choice, taking personal responsibility for your emotions that are shaping your experience in this life. Everybody is shaped by these emotions. Everybody, right? And the other thing is too that you can harness your emotions, right? Instead of being hijacked by them. And I think that's important to talk about. So there's like, I think 5 or 6 points. And one of them is to name it to tame it. And we've talked about that before, but it's, how helpful is it? You can't, what I've found is that when you don't know what it is, when you're feeling, um, then and even if you can't name it right off the top of your head and accurately, at least start with something and it will probably evolve and change and allow for that. So when you're labeling an emotion, like you're saying, I'm anxious versus just saying, oh, I'm just fine, right? Um, it moves you from the limbic system to the prefrontal cortex. So in other words, you're basically back in the back steering the ship and not letting the 6-year-old do the driving. That's what happens. So you're labeling that emotion instead of suppressing it. And two, if you get curious and you're not critical and you swap, the judgment for curiosity and saying, well, why am I feeling this? You know, asking yourself that very important question. Not, I shouldn't be feeling this, just why am I feeling this? That opens the door, another door open. Curiosity disarms shame and it invites growth every single time, every single time. And I want to just emphasize the fact that as human beings, we do this. We have all kinds of emotions, and nobody's won the purity contest on this, folks. No one. All of us have really, base emotions that we're not exactly proud of. It comes out, you know? So what? Why am I feeling this? Well, it's frustrating. I'm feeling this because X, Y, and Z happened. Okay. Now what are you gonna now that you know what this is, now that you've named it, what are you gonna do about it? There's somewhere to go rather than shaming yourself. Number 3 is to channel and don't cancel, right? If you feel anger, then move. If you're feeling sadness, right. Feeling fear, plan. Emotions are energy. And if you don't direct it, it gets stuffed and it stagnates. And if you don't do something about it and use some kind of a action when you're feeling it, then it doesn't, there's nothing's going to come out of it. that movement is going to make a difference. It's going to make you feel better. That walk around the block or whatever, it's going to make you feel better. Sitting there and, feeling fearful, you sit down and make a plan, for what it is that you're going to do. That's going to make you feel a little bit better. Do you see how all of these things work? There are answers to everything. We just need to be creative and curious enough that we are seeking solutions, even when our emotions are running high. And we also have to remember it is temporary. Number 4, it's temporary. No emotion is permanent. They are literally like the waves in the ocean. Even the tsunamis, at some point they will crest and they will come to shore and it will be done. That's how waves are. Waves are never just, the only time they're ever caught like this is in a painting or in a picture or a photo. That's it. They always hit the shore and they always recede. So let them move through, not move in. Don't invite them in. Close the door. But allow them to move through. And number 5, rehearse your emotional agility. This is what I was just saying a minute ago. This is how you get mastery over your emotions. You think about it as mental health training, right? You lift weights, you're going to get stronger muscles. And if you do this in your head and work your way through these things, even writing some of this stuff down, you're going to find yourself less likely to be dragged around like you're, an untrained dog on a leash. And when you get that all under control and it's a pleasure to walk a dog that's a good dog to walk. It is not a pleasure to walk a dog that will take your arm out of socket and drag you all over Kingdom Come. Am I right? So here's the deal. Your emotions are not trying to ruin your day, and they're not trying to ruin your life. They're trying to guide you toward alignment. And that's your alignment assignment, is to understand that's part of who you are. We are emotional beings, but we're also chemical body bags, really, that when we react, our bodies react. And our brains set on fire and our hormones go wackadoodle and everything happens. This is the way we can get back in control and start being the women that we want to be, by taking that data that's been thrown our way from our emotions and processing it instead of either stuffing it or reacting to it. So understand that emotions are not facts. They aren't necessarily true. They're just simply data. They're feedback. They're not good. They're not bad. They're information. And they're information to help you with the next thing. They're information to help you have the life that you want to live. And here's the wildest thing about all of this. You can rewrite this at any point. Your body and your brain are willing to do the work if you are willing to do it yourself. It's not hard. It's just repetition is all it is. And it's those affirmations and it's saying, it's self-correcting, noticing when you're just gone off the rails and bringing it all back in. So the more you practice steering your emotional state, the faster you'll go from reaction mode to creation mode. And I will tell you, there's no better place to be in than creation mode, because creation mode is the place where dreams are built, dreams are made, and dreams come true. That includes you and me. And I say yes to that. Alrighty then. All right. Don't you forget about your creatine. Any woman over the age of 50 not taking creatine, come on, get on it. 5 grams in the morning, 5 grams in the evening, throw it into your water bottle and you will notice the difference. Huge. Great for your body, great for your brain. That's at savingdinner.com/creatine. Get on it. Alrighty then. That's it for our show today. Thanks for seeing us a day late. But, that's how it rolls. We will see you next week. We will be here on Tuesday. Peace be with you. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.